You're listening to the Miscellaneous Morning Show here at WAPJ Torrington, 89.9 and 105.1 FM. That's Holly Pond.
That's Barry Susie.
And with us in studio is Pam Driswicki from Powerful-Purpose. Good morning, Pam.
Good morning.
And how are you this fine summer-like day?
I am wonderful. I was just saying to Holly, I'm looking forward to possibly doing some yard work this afternoon.
Yeah, you and everybody else, they've been out the last 2 or 3 days. I've seen a ton of it.
I don't look forward to that at all.
No, Holly said she has a guy.
I have a guy.
She does have a guy. There's a guy that comes in a couple times a week and months and years and does snow removal. 1 week he's doing snow removal. The next week he's cutting the grass. I mean, it's just been a wacky month so far, but we're all the way up to the 11th.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Fast.
Passover just started last night, and now you have Easter right around the corner, and then Mother's Day and Earth Day, and that was the week after Easter, so
Yes.
a lot going on. But here we're going to be talking about the essentials of becoming self-aware and how to do that. Now, you're not talking about becoming self-aware like Skynet did in Terminator, right? And coming online and being self-aware that way?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Like in the Terminator. No, huh?
No, not that. Self-awareness being, just having an understanding of who you are. Your personality, your strengths, your weaknesses, your thoughts, your beliefs, your motivations, and your emotions.
Don't you have to know what your weaknesses are and your strengths are when you're going to start picking a career or things like that?
Absolutely. Because, when you're interviewing, it's always great to know what your strengths are and your weaknesses are so you could play on them to fit that job that you're going for.
I know, I get that all the time. They go, what are your strengths? You tell them, you go, what are your weaknesses? And they go, I'm just too good looking. People just do whatever I say because I'm just that darn good looking. And they go, yeah, well, we have another interview coming up in just a moment.
But that positive spin, right?
Yeah. You always have to try and spin it in the most positive way.
Absolutely.
What are your weaknesses? Well, I got a bad ankle. Who wants to hear that?
Exactly. But when you are self-aware of, your strengths and your weaknesses and your beliefs, it's really the first step in creating, the life that you want because you know where to go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I know that I'm not. I always wanted to play left field for the Red Sox. Yaz, Ted Williams.
Exactly. Okay.
But knowing my limitations, I knew that was never going to happen.
So you didn't apply for that job?
No, I didn't apply for that job. No.
So you didn't set yourself up. You knew where you were going to be.
Well, I didn't know where I was going to be,
at.
but I knew I wasn't. I knew where I wasn't going to be.
And that's actually sometimes better.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, I wasn't going to waste 10 years, hoping and praying to get a shot with the Red Sox.
And then all of a sudden it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen, and I'm like,
okay, where do I go from here?
Yeah.
So, and that's a great example of being really clear on where your purpose is and where you should place yourself. Being self-aware allows change to happen easier because you know where you're going to fit better and how your life is going to be. And other people are going to understand you better because you're more self-aware of who you are.
Isn't it starting with being honest with yourself?
You do. You need to be honest with yourself. You need to ask yourself why in situations. You need to know what the purpose is for your life and what the purpose is for yourself. So if you were going to run a marathon, but you have that weak ankle, that's probably not a good place for you to be. So you would pick something else that would motivate you in a physical sense. So being clear and concise in your message and your language is part of people knowing that you're self-aware of who you are. So, and then also, if you're just taking a deep breath and stepping back and allowing the situation to happen and then fit yourself in where it works the best.
Now, how do you deal with that, Pam? Say, you're a business coach and you help people succeed with this stuff. What if you know that you can do the job? Like, I applied for a job one time and the guy said, well, you'd just be in the way, because I told him I was legally blind, and he said, don't even, I'll just find something else for you to do. And I said, I could do this job. I've done this job, and I've done it better than you can, because I knew I wasn't going to get the job anyway at this point.
Right.
So I said, well, I've done your job, and I've done it better than you, because I never would have said that to somebody. But how do you deal with the fact that you know that you could do this job and you can't get a shot? I'm not talking about that person that just comes out of college with the book smarts that has no practical experience. I'm talking about someone that's done something for 10 or 12 years, and then they say, well, you can't do this because of whatever reason.
Right. Well, I would say that place wasn't the place where you were supposed to be, right? So if they didn't recognize your talents, and because you were self-aware of what your talents were, you found out that wasn't the place where you needed to be. Mm-hmm. So then the next step is to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Until you find a place where you feel comfortable and they know who you are and they could appreciate the talents you have to offer. Mm-hmm. So don't get discouraged, and that goes back to knowing who you are, because you knew you were good enough to do that job, but they just didn't recognize that.
Yeah.
So they didn't deserve to have you there.
That's what I said.
Right?
And I made sure to point that out to them next time I was there, and I said, oh, really?
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh, I did that. And I was like, oh, and I'd be in the way, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, setting your healthy boundaries, knowing what is right and knowing what is wrong is another place of being self-aware. Mm-hmm. Not allowing yourself to get into those situations or people having you do things that you don't really want to do. So a lot of these techniques are the same that we've talked in the past about just creating a well-rounded, intentional life of purpose. Knowing the whys, taking the time to step back and breathe, be clear and concise, setting your boundaries. So those are areas that go along with self-awareness.
We're talking with Pam Drzwicki here on the Miscellaneous Morning Show. You can find Pam on Facebook or her website, powerful-purpose.com.
Yes.
And we're talking about the essentials of becoming self-aware and how to do that. When you say becoming self-aware and you come up with these, limitations, sometimes you end up limiting yourself so much.
Right. Then you go to
then you can't do anything.
Right. You start overanalyzing yourself, right? So we know, we acknowledge our mistakes and then we move on. And we have to still allow ourselves to break through that comfort zone. Feel a little uneasy, just push it the next step, right? Because that's when it all happens, and that's when the magic happens, is if you push yourself out of the comfort zone. So being self-aware is also, not overanalyzing yourself too much, and not getting in the way of your own self to help yourself succeed.
So you're saying don't cut your ankles off and then don't complain you can't reach the top shelf.
Exactly. Exactly.
To put it simply.
Right.
I'm not tall enough anymore.
So when you do that, then you put yourself in a box and you create this box around you that you feel you're only good at certain things. So we do have to know our strengths and our weaknesses, but don't limit ourselves to that, because we want to grow and expand our thinking.
I think what you could do too is also make a list of the things you do in your daily life, like answering emails, copying recipes, putting things online. Now you're doing data entry, and all of a sudden you realize, I've been doing that for 10 years.
And I'm good at that.
Yeah, and I like doing it.
Right, and you don't think of it as a skill at first because it's something that you do normally. So that's why one of the things is going back to journaling and reflecting on yourself, and doing daily reflection of who you are and who you want to be. So that kind of continues to keep you in line with your growth of the awareness that you have going on around yourself.
Yeah, instead of writing down job skills, write down life skills. And you find out that you've pretty much shaped yourself a career sometimes.
Absolutely. That is so true. And if we consistently be positive around ourselves, that will help us grow also. Being positive, those I am statements, I am powerful, I am complete kind of statements, leave the negative words out because our negative words form, what may happen, our intentions in our world. So the other day I reached out and I do a word of intention every single week of how I want my week to go. Mm-hmm. And yesterday my intention was to release self-doubt. So I was having self-doubt around the work that I'm doing. And it's your own head trash, I call it, that gets in your head and it talks to you. You're not really good enough to do this, right? So all of a sudden, by the end of the day, I had 4 different people tell me how much I had changed their world by working with me. And it was unsolicited. It just started happening. And it was amazing because I set out that power of intention and it came back to me. So it made me more self-aware of what my strengths are, that I am helping people and helping women, transform their lives and businesses. So that positive thought brought back a lot of positive energy around it.
See, I don't believe in coincidences, so I believe that you were hearing those messages because on this particular day you needed to hear that.
Absolutely.
And they were there for you. It wasn't just like, wow, what a coincidence. That person just called me and told me this. Or I don't believe in coincidences, so I believe that when you are on the right path or where you are where you're supposed to be, things line up for you.
They do, and I think it's because you become more self-aware of what you want in your life. So if you're not self-aware of your intentions and what you want your beliefs and motivations are, then you're not going to be as open to see it moving forward. So another example was I had a word of intention that I wanted more movement in my life. And that weekend I came home, I was away for the weekend with my daughter. I came home and I had a treadmill desk in my office. Mm-hmm. One of those standing treadmill desks. And my husband didn't know that my word was movement, and he found it on Craigslist for like $40. So all of it all lined up that now when I just talk on the phone to my clients, I'm actually walking while I'm talking. So the power of intention, because of what I knew my motivation would be, was there. So set that intention every day to align with what you want to happen in your life.
Yeah, things seem to work out for some reason.
It really does. It's amazing.
Like if you put out, I want to be miserable today, chances are you're going to be miserable that day.
Yeah, it will happen because that's what you're surrounding yourself with, and that's the projection that you're putting out about yourself. So it kind of goes to, with your self-awareness, is be aware of what your body language is, mm-hmm. too. If you're standing there and you're crossing your arms while you're talking to somebody, people say that, that might mean that you're not interested or you're leaning, you're not, you're more lazy around the conversation. So there's certain body languages that we need to be aware of, especially if we're interviewing or having communication with other people.
So wiping the sweat off your face with your tie is not a good idea.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, right now I have to almost, I have my hands really tight down because I'm Italian. So I'll have a tendency to talk with my hands a lot, and I'll probably end up hitting the microphone or something. So just being aware of what I need to do to be in a more comfortable state while I'm here.
Holly, do you remember that other Italian woman that used to sit here on Tuesdays?
Did you have to...
Arms flailing, banging on the counter. We're just about tired of the chair to
keep her in place.
Keep her in place, yeah.
So being aware of the fact that I do usually talk with my hands in this particular situation, it's probably best that I don't. So just adjusting what is something in me that I need to change right now while I'm sitting here. So body language is a huge thing to look at yourself in the mirror while you're talking. Mm-hmm. If you're a presenter or speaker, videotape yourself so you could see what your body language is while you're delivering your message.
Absolutely.
Very important.
Yeah, it really is.
Mm-hmm.
When you watch a newscaster on television, they present themselves in the best possible way.
Right. They do.
It's not an accident.
Exactly.
It's not that they're that confident or that good looking, but they're presenting that image that they are, and people respect them and believe them.
That's right. You know, they're sitting up straight. They're not wiping their brow with their tie. They're just sitting there and they're looking like they're experts in what they're talking about. So that's so important. So really acknowledging what those strengths or weaknesses again in that situation to really adapt yourself to where you are is another technique for self-awareness. I would also say that asking for constructive feedback from somebody is really important too, because a lot of times, obviously, we're too close to ourselves to really know sometimes our weaknesses and our strengths. So if we have people, our dream team of people that around us that we feel comfortable enough to ask them, give me feedback on that. How was I on the radio? You know, did I say too much, or did I, different things, but be prepared because you're asking that person for, constructive criticism. So be prepared to accept that.
Holly and I were getting a lot of constructive criticism when we first started doing the morning show years ago. And people would say, well, what'd you think of the show? And they go, oh, it was really good. And I'm like, what'd you like about it? I don't know. It was just good. It's like, that's not helping me at all.
Exactly. I'm asking you for a reason. I don't want a blanket statement because you think that's what I need to hear.
Yeah.
If I'm asking you for feedback, I truly want that feedback.
And then when we listen to our own, rebroadcast of a program, because we used to replay them, I was like, I never said that.
Well, apparently you did.
I did, yeah.
Because it's recorded.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, I don't remember any of this. So it's a good idea to, when you spend your day, to keep little notes of different things that happened. I mean, obviously you can't, if you're a theater usher, you're not going to record your day.
No, probably not.
No, but you can ask somebody to take little notes and say, well, I could have done this better. I could have done that better.
Right. I could have greeted them with a bigger smile. I could have asked them if they needed help to their seat. I mean, we all have room for improvement. But being ready for that improvement to take place is really, really important. So being self-aware, allows you to understand, other people and how they perceive you.
Absolutely.
Right. And your attitude and your responses back to them is so important.
Yeah. I mean, don't go, well, you already don't know what you're talking about anyway.
Exactly. Because maybe you don't like what they're saying.
Yeah.
But even if you didn't ask for criticism or feedback, still be open to it, because that person may think enough of you to take the time to stop and say something. We may not like what they're saying, but if we just sit there, we listen, and then absorb what they're saying, it may be something that's really important to help us move forward.
Yeah. I mean, again, someone may come up to you and they say, hey, I didn't like the songs you played this morning. And I said, well, what do you want to hear?
Exactly. We'll call and
let me know.
Exactly.
Because I'll keep playing what I'm going to play until you tell me something different. And then I could play something you like, that it may trigger a whole morning of different kind of music.
That's right. That's right. So you have to be open to, voice your opinion on what is important to you. What is the motivation that will move you forward? Because it really, really allows us to handle the change better when we're more self-aware.
We're talking with Pam Drzwicki here on the Miscellaneous Morning Show. My name is Barry. Holly just had to go quick and answer the phone. But we're talking with Pam from Powerful-Purpose. Now, Pam, when you were putting this together, this Powerful-Purpose, and you were putting together this whole career change for yourself.
Yes.
What life skills were you involving into this, or what skills did you think you had or didn't have when you were putting this whole career together? I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Okay, that's okay. When I started this business, it was back in 2015, and I was working part-time. I actually had hired my own life coach, and working with her kind of opened this up. It really I was going through self-awareness exercises with her, and I found that I just really love helping people. And I have, as everybody does, tons tons of chapters in our lives with different stories. And my experiences of what I've, what I did throughout my life was able to help other people through what they're going through. So, and then on the business side, working 28 years in an insurance office, starting off as a pool secretary and ending up, chief operating officer, it helped me learn how to build a business. So I love to learn, and I read a lot too. So my life skills is really what has got me where I am today in helping women transform their lives and businesses.
But it was a process that you went through. It wasn't something that you just said, I'm going to be a life coach tomorrow.
No, it definitely was a process. I think one of the first things I did was figured out what I'd love to do, and I'm very creative, and I put out there that I was running a vision board class. Mm-hmm. And the workshop was going to be at my house. And 10 women showed up for my first workshop. And it was in my house, and it was wonderful. And I loved the experience around it. So, of course, and then once that went really well, I had another one, and it just kept on growing. And then people were interested in working with me full time. So then I started taking clients full time, and on 1 day a week while I was working full time too. Then I was like, you know what? I really love doing this. So I'm going to make a transition. And I came up with a plan of how I was going to transition out of a full-time career and become a full-time entrepreneur, because it was a big leap.
It is a big leap to have a guaranteed income every week.
Absolutely. It is. But with the proper planning and time to really sit down and see what my intention was and what kind of lifestyle I wanted to have. I knew that there would be sacrifices, but I had to weigh those sacrifices of, maybe we don't go out to eat 4 times a week or 3 times a week. Maybe it's only once a week we go out to eat.
Wow, did you hear that, Holly? 4 times a week, dude.
Well, back then when I was working full time and I had the 3 kids at home and I was starting the business, it was a lot. And you're running around and you just had to grab time when you could. So being home is just so much. It's just wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. It's better than I ever thought it would be. And it's really interesting. And being an entrepreneur is hard work, but it's wonderful work. I love moving forward with it.
And was there a ta-da moment when you said, I want to do this? You're going through your process. You're doing your steps. You've picked a career choice that you're going to. You're becoming self-aware. You're figuring out what I want to do.
Right.
Was there a big moment that said, yeah, I can really do this?
Absolutely. I think when people started coming to me without asking them to, if they needed a coach, like to start a business or a life coach for transforming their lives, it was like, wow, I am good at this. And people really do want to work with me. So one day at the office, something had happened that normally I might have felt a little uneasy or upset about. But I took a step back and I said it was another reason why I was moving forward in the direction that I was moving forward in. So when I gave my notice that day, I was very, very nervous, but it was freeing once it was done.
Yeah.
So stepping out of the comfort zone and really moving forward on that, because that was huge. And then I had decided that if I'm going to teach other people how to transform their lives, then I should walk the walk myself.
Yeah, I mean, I can just sit back and dispense advice.
Exactly. And I know some people do that. And when you do that, you're sitting in a place where you're not allowing positive to come into you because you're still living in 2 worlds.
Yeah.
So same being self-aware in relationships, in jobs, just any different parts of your life really needs you to be in tune with what is right for you.
When you first sent me the text saying that we're going to talk about being self-aware, I thought you were almost talking about, I knew you weren't, but it first thing that went to me was health-wise.
Right.
To be honest with your own health.
And that's true. That's part of it too, right? Is that you have to your body is, they say your body's a temple, and you really need to treat it that way. So being self-aware around that, like the intention of movement, sitting at a desk all day was really not getting me where I needed to be health-wise. Mm-hmm. So I had to be aware of that and look at the signs that I needed to do to move forward.
Like for somebody like Holly, for her that is so active at her job, to try and pick a career where she had to sit down for 8 to 9 hours a day right now. I
couldn't do it. I can't even sit still for 3 hours on the radio. I'm up and down and back and forth.
So that's something that she is aware of herself.
Exactly. And that's good that she's aware of it, because she doesn't put herself in that situation that would take her out of movement in her job. Because as you said, even being on the radio for 3 hours, it is hard for you, but it gives you the ability to get up and down the way you need to.
Yeah. I know, she's like a dragonfly. You should just
fluttering around.
We're talking with Pam Drzwicki. We just got a couple of minutes left. What are some? I know your book, hashtag Nugget, 28 days
to self-discovery. Yep.
Self-discovery. That is something that you could start with, because you're journaling, you're writing things down, and you see what. Wow, I didn't even realize I was doing that every day at the same time.
Exactly. The hashtag Nugget. You could find that book on Amazon if you just put hashtag Nugget in. Is a great way to start with your self-discovery, to bring your self-awareness into place. You could do that on your own, or I have a program that I'll work with you through the book. Mm-hmm. And I offered that program last month, and I had 11 women sign up for my program.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. So it is out there, and that's where I'm making a difference, because people could do their book on their own, which is beautiful, and it gets them to journal. But working with somebody to hold you accountable every day to do that, and then we work together on a weekly basis, helps you push that comfort zone a little bit more and think a little bit more out of the box.
I hope you have unlimited text in your phone.
I do. People talk with me all the time.
We're here in the Miscellaneous Morning Show. Powerful-Purpose is the website, and the book, hashtag Nuggets, 28 Days to Self-Discovery, Pam Drzwicki. If they do want to reach out to you, is that the best way, through the website?
Sure. They could email me at pam@powerful-purpose.com.
Absolutely. It's easy. It's that easy.
It is.
It is.
It's that easy.
It couldn't get any easier.
And you can go out, and then you could. Are you going to be anywhere coming up?
Let's see. Coming up soon, I have a few things on the burner, but they're not definite yet. So next time when I come in, I should have those ironed out and pinned down, and I could be able to share that with. But if you follow me, you go on my website, and you could click and follow my inspirational tips every day and my monthly blog. And anything that does come out, like media blast or anything, go out to all my email people. So everyone received this today that I was out here. So those are the different places you could stay in touch with me.
And I noticed you got a lot of comments last time you were here.
I did. I actually, a few people actually reached out to me. So we have consultations coming up.
Good.
Very exciting. And that was on chaos, right?
Yes.
Getting rid of chaos.
Yes.
And clutter.
Which was perfect, because I just moved like 2 days, like the day before.
Exactly. And we were talking about all the music and the CDs.
I haven't even touched those yet. I'm still busy putting everything else away.
It'll get done.
Thank you, Pam, for coming in and being part of
you.
here this morning. I'm going to play a song, and then we'll get back to the top of the hour sponsors. We'll let Holly catch her breath, and a whole lot more here on WAPJ Torrington. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
Pam.
Have a great day.
You too.